Yo, welcome back to the Speakeasy. Yo, I have a special guest. It's my brother. It's my brother from another mother. I mean, my mama love him. My family love him. Sure. That is my guy. We have an incredible story about how we got to know each other. But you're going to get into that. But welcome to the Speakeasy, my brother Josh.
Yeah.
Harvin.
Yeah, man. You know we here. Woo! Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, bro. Thank you for inviting me on, man.
Dude, we have, quite the story, man.
Oh, yeah.
You started off as my mentee.
Yeah.
The little brother whom I was well pleased and loved. And, dude, we went from, having conversations, dude, in front of your apartment complex.
Right.
Visiting you at Arby's when you worked at Arby's.
Got a funny story on that.
Having a conversation with you and youth group when you were, what, was it 4X?
5 links. Bro.
5 links.
It ain't 4X, Anthony.
You were doing 5 links, 4X, Amway, one of the pyramid schemes, Vector,
Oh, my goodness gracious.
selling knives. I don't know what it was. But regardless, you were trying to get rich real quick.
Yeah, sure was.
You were into fashion. Well, you're still into fashion.
Yeah,
but that's transformed. But in the very beginning, you wanted to be a fashion designer, though.
I did.
And I thought that was interesting. You were wearing a pink shirt and really tight skinny jeans.
Everybody was. Anyways, next. You ain't about to play with me.
But we went from that season to you actually beginning to mentor on your own.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
And very quickly.
Yeah.
Like you went from being a student to graduating high school and then mentoring high school students.
Yeah.
And kind of walk with them through life.
Right.
And dude, we've seen some incredible things happen.
For sure.
But I really want to talk about what that experience was like for you, one, being mentored. And then next, I want to talk about what it was like you mentoring.
Yeah. I mean, the mentor part, being mentored, it was like, it was nothing that I had ever experienced, right? It's like, how often does young men have the opportunity to have somebody in their life who constantly shows up, who constantly wants to have the hard conversation, who knows how to dig deeper, who knows how to ask those questions that will provoke thought, that will provoke purpose, at like the number one question you ask me is like, what are you passionate about? Like, what are you passionate about? That used to be your staple right there. Like, what are you passionate about? Because the goal for you was purpose, right? Yeah. And I never had anyone in my life, who wanted to pull purpose out of me, right? And of course, my father, phenomenal man, love him to death. He's the best man I know to this day, but he just didn't have that set of gifts to do that for me in that moment in time. And that's what you were for me, man. Just that influence and just that person who just was relentlessly pursuing just the relationship with me. Because here's the thing, it's like I tried to duck and dodge. I definitely did.
For sure.
I definitely tried to avoid being cool with Anthony. I was, because I knew you were in the church, I knew I wasn't really trying to do that. Like, dude, I'm 18. I'm trying to go, like my bro Josh, he going off to college. We about to have a ball, So it's like, I was just like Norfolk State. I'm trying to call them up. I'm trying to get up out of here. Like Anthony trying to get me, bro. Can't do it.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember I asked you to see your phone?
Oh. It's like, what are you doing?
Bro, what's really interesting is like when we first started out, bro, like mind you, I'm like early 20s.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of mentoring when I was back home in Boston.
Right.
But then here I was like connected to a church and like mentoring you through a youth ministry. Yeah. And so like there's this standard that I'm learning to try to uphold and make sure that you're upholding.
Right.
And they're checking phones. So I'm like, hey bro, like let me see your phone, bro. Make sure you ain't wilding out here. And you were like, what?
I was like, dog, like, what do you mean? Let me check your phone. I was very apprehensive. Like, I mean, and
you said no.
I think, did I say no?
Yes.
Bro, I feel like I let you see
No,
it.
you did not.
I said no, I guess so.
No, you just said no.
Okay, bet. I said no.
It was almost like there was trauma there.
Yeah,
it was almost
it was definitely trauma. Oh, it was trauma, bro.
But why was that trauma for you?
Bro, I mean, because, so, you know, my dad got remarried. Phenomenal woman. Like,
Yeah.
I love her to life, bro. Like, I mean, she's amazing. But it was like, she was the first person, like, to be like, let me see your phone. Like, and she was my mom. So it's like, I can't say no to my mom.
Yeah.
Like, you checking phones now? Like, bro, I got stuff in there. let me wipe the hard drive first. You know, like, you got to give me a heads up. Give me 10 minutes. We gonna be all right. But nah, it was like she checked phones. And, you know, I used to get in trouble. So it's like, I'm not about to have this young man who I don't know trying to check my phone. Like,
Fair
come
enough.
on, bro.
Fair enough. What was really, it's because and everybody, like in my small group, right?
Yeah.
All the guys that I was mentoring at the time, it was like we all built a relationship where it's just like, yeah, like, yo, here, and like,
Right.
you were just like, yeah, absolutely not.
Nah, not one of those.
You were like, absolutely not.
Not one of them.
I remember the you know, we've had some incredible moments.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had a surprise graduation party
yeah.
for you. That was awesome. On the way to that, you shared a lot with me about your past and what you went through. Dude, we've seen a ton.
Right.
And dude, I remember the conversation outside the apartment complex. That was pivotal and like a shift for you.
Right.
And that was the moment we were talking for like maybe a couple hours.
Oh,
I mean,
bro.
it was a long conversation.
In front of the door, like I'm ready to go in the house, but we right there. One thing about Anthony, he got like this thing where it's like if he don't feel done yet, it ain't done. He gotta get it out. So yeah.
It's not done. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so we have this long conversation just around, okay, how at what point are you gonna like take your walk with God seriously?
Yeah.
Like at what point are you gonna start upholding the standard, right? Like that we kind of talked about, that we said that you agreed to, but you didn't necessarily want to live out at the moment. And so I was like, okay. And I'm a little unorthodox. Like, I'm like, okay.
He different.
I'm about to leave. And I'm like, okay, how many you got girls in your phone that you're trying to smash? Like you're you're in the process of doing, like you're not ready to make no decision because there is some things you want to conquer in this moment.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, take 2 weeks. Take 2 weeks. If you can do in 2 weeks, get it all out your system, and then let me know if you're ready to really like walk this walk.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, look, when he said give me 2 weeks, I had already knew in my mind, like after number one, that conversation was definitely an impactful conversation. It was a conversation that me taking my walk seriously with God was the smart option. It was the best thing for me.
For sure.
Right? But it was like, for me, it was just like, when it come down to it at the end of the day, I still need to text her and see what we about to do, you know? And so it's like, I knew in that moment, like, I was like, dang, like, I'm proud, like, this is probably about to get real, for real. Like, I think that was the first conversation where it was like, you were actually challenging me to do something, to take action to do something. And so that 2 weeks, instead of me being able to get it all out of my system, it just turned into everything falling apart, you know, like, everything just went downhill, bro. I'm like, bro, it was like, it just seemed like God didn't want it to happen.
Got no buns.
I was like, nothing.
No buns.
Nothing, man. I
both
mean,
weeks.
Not at all, bro. So it's like, it was terrible. And so it was like, you know, I got to those 2 weeks, and man, I was basically clean. It was like I was in rehab for 2 weeks. At that point, it's like we pull up, man. I'm already good. I ain't having no withdrawals and nothing. I ain't have nothing to withdraw from. So
you were withdrawing for the 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. But I remember vividly.
Ain't God funny?
Yeah, just going in. I was like, dang, I'm about to see Anthony on Sunday. I walk into service, you know, and then I end up seeing you in the lobby.
Yeah.
And we go into the volunteer lounge, and it was like, you know, from that point, it was like, yeah, man, I'm ready to go.
Dude.
And boy, did I never look back.
Yeah, and thank God you didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think like over the weeks that happened, months and over time, like you grew like exponentially and quickly by just your yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the power of a man saying yes.
Making a decision.
To God, making a decision. And your yes being your yes.
Right.
And because every yes you make is a no to something else.
Right.
And so like you made a yes, and said no to a lot of things you could have been doing, a whole way of life that you could have went,
Right.
but instead you said, yo, I want to walk into purpose.
Right.
Like, okay, God, like I'm experiencing a certain level of like a feeling of purpose going in this direction.
Yeah.
And like, you just went.
Yeah.
And not very long after that, you're like taking other young dudes with you.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
We went from that to then having a conversation around starting a whole campus outreach team at our youth group and all that. And then we meet the Daniel Gwynns of the world.
Right.
He might be on this podcast at some point. You know, Mel and Jalen. And then it grows and you take over. I mean, what has being a mentor meant to you?
Being a mentor meant to me, man, one of the most impactful things that you ever said to me, and this is what changed it, like for me really, was like seeing people the way that God sees them. Like you have to stop seeing them, because I remember I was pissed about something because I guess the student had did something that like I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And it was like I kept comparing their behavior to like something that I would do. And it was like, dude, like you're different. But it's like, long story short, it was like your whole thing to me was like, yeah, I don't see them the way that, you know, Anthony might want to see them or whatever opinions I have. I see them the way God sees them. And it's like, at that point, I was like, oh, yeah, that's it. Like, that's why. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like comparing it to who Josh is versus like God is looking at us and dude, we suck. Like we suck. We're gonna suck. We're gonna do stuff that just seems like ridiculous. It's death to the Lord, right? But it's like he gives us grace. He gives us mercy. Being a mentor has, like, what it has meant to me is just being able to see people the way that God sees them. And you can't promote purpose or pull purpose out of somebody without seeing them the way that God sees them. He's the one who gave them the thing that you're trying to pull out. You can't see if you can't see them in that way, there's no way that you can do that. So that for me is what being a mentor was. It was just like being able to see people the way that God sees them and just give. And understand that literally it is genuinely more blessed to give than it is to receive. Yeah. And that's what it is to this day.
And I mean I love that you said that. Yeah. Because I believe if you can really understand and see past like how your eyes will see an individual, how you see their behavior, how you see how they're acting right now. If you can get past that, and no, that's a son of the Most High living God. Like that kid has purpose. Like God has a plan for that dude, right? Like once you start to see past that, it is huge. I mean, it'll change the way you interact with someone when they're messing up. Right. Because God, you saw me. Yeah. God, you saw me more than how I was acting, higher than how I was behaving. And then you walked with me and you didn't throw me away. You know how many people that I've watched throw people that looked up to them away? Because that person, he don't listen. Yeah. He don't listen.
Yeah, but really he just didn't serve your agenda anymore. That's all right. We ain't gonna go there.
But yeah. Because if you start to be offended when someone's no longer listening to, they don't listen to me, they don't listen to my advice, you've made that relationship about you. Yep. You have made that relationship about you. And if you have a mentee, that relationship is about them. You have peers and you have mentors. If you want a relationship about you, peers it's an exchange. It is a reciprocated relationship, right? A mentor is somebody who's pouring into you. They are about, if you have a mentee, just because they don't listen to your advice, your oh so wise advice does not mean that they're an idiot or you should throw them away or they're not worth anything. Because what about the time when God told you to do what he wanted you to do and you didn't do it? How many times are we disobedient?
Right.
All of the time.
All of the time. Like probably an hour ago.
Yeah. Are you kidding? It is
Yeah.
not easy to make a decision in a moment just because someone's sharing wisdom with you. You may in the moment, and this happened with you plenty of times, but where it's like, you know the right thing to do.
Right.
I know what you said to me is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
However, I'm so used to doing what I want to do and what I'm used to doing that making a decision ain't all that easy.
Mm-mm.
And so having grace for people was huge.
Right.
And one of the big things that I remember having a conversation with you about was your consistency.
Yeah, man.
But I was harsh back then.
Oh, you were. Man, I can't believe you talked to me the way you talked to me.
No, but you gotta understand, I was in a place, and I still am in a place where it's like I don't play about people's lives.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna say, if you're gonna show up, if you're gonna say you're gonna show up, then you ought to show up.
Right.
Because people have way too many inconsistencies in their life already to go ahead and add another.
Yeah.
And they already don't have trust. Like young men already have a hard time trusting other men.
Right.
Because a lot of them didn't have dads or didn't have trustworthy male figures in their life that they could trust and honor. Yeah. And so if we're going to say we're going to be at a basketball game, you better show up to that GD basketball game.
Facts.
And when you didn't, I was not okay.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with you. Remember that? It was in the clubhouse of
so many different situations. So, yes.
There was so many hard conversations, but we were in the clubhouse of my apartment complex. And I sat you down. I don't even know what drove the conversation, but I was like, "You're selfish." Mm-hmm. I was like, "You're selfish. Mm-hmm. You only care about what you want to do, how you feel in a moment." Mm-hmm. And you bawled crying.
Oh yeah, I was sick. I was sick, bro.
You bawled crying, and I didn't care.
I know it. Like, I know. That's why it hurt so bad. Like, doggone, bro. Like, you don't even feel bad about how you talking to me right now.
Nah, man. Yeah. I was like, like, there was these dudes are waiting for you to like show up in their life. You said you would. You got their number. You said you're gonna be there for them, and they hadn't heard from you in weeks.
Yeah.
Right? They don't. I mean, we picked up. Whew.
Yeah.
We were mentoring kids in really rough situations.
Really rough. Yeah.
And they didn't have anybody. I mean, dropping off students who hadn't seen their mom in weeks.
Yeah.
But had to work to take care of their sister.
Yeah.
And put food on the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, so for me, it was like, yeah, bro, you're not gonna like not show up for this kid who needs you.
Right.
But you took that with like, and you just, I mean, after you cried. And,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Had to get it on out. Yeah.
But you really got it together. And I think one of the things that was really powerful was like, dude, you could take hard criticisms well.
Yeah. I mean,
as well as you could.
As well as I could. Because, I mean, in that initial conversation,
but
it ain't
you
the best.
Made the changes.
I made the changes, though.
You always made the changes.
Yeah.
Like, and if it was hard, you tried.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, there would be reminders, and but you always made the changes.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I realized that over the years that made young men that I've mentored more open to harder conversations was their relationship with their father.
Yeah.
That's not something I had the privilege of having. I didn't have a great relationship with my dad. I mean, he was deported. We talked about that last episode. Yeah. But your dad was your hero.
Right. Yeah.
Your dad, like, worked his behind off just to make sure you had somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
And in the hard times was there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, your relationship with your dad and what that meant to you.
Yeah, bro. My dad, man, he just was a phenomenal man at the end of the day. I mean, he didn't have the most money. He was working odd jobs, He was doing the best he could in my eyes. And I mean, like, even though we didn't have a lot, I had him in my life, right? He was present. I can never say that my dad wasn't present. I can never say that my dad didn't raise me. You know, he was in and out, never. You know, he was there. You know, if he had some money, we went to the Blue Ridge $5 movie down the street in Raleigh. You know, we did things to experience just relationship and just like love and all that stuff. And it was never a day where my dad didn't say I love you. There was never a time where my dad didn't say like, you know, I'm proud of you, you know. And it's like he just took pride in being present and being a dad, you know. There were job opportunities that he didn't take because he wanted to be a dad. He cared more about raising and being a dad, right? And yeah, man, it's like my dad, bro. Love my dad. So great man, great father. And, you know, one of the things is like my dad, we never really had those hard constructive criticism conversations. Like he would have them, but it was never like that hard, right? It was, my dad was always like, seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. You know, he was a Proverbs guy. You know, if he ever recommended me read the Bible or read the word, he mentioned Proverbs, you know. So it's like, you know, he was just like, in all of your getting, like, really seek wisdom. And for me, I was just like, if I did have hard conversations, when we did have those moments where it's like, dude, at the end of the day, you telling me the truth. And it's like, I gotta appreciate it. It sucks, it hurts, but you telling me the truth. And my dad told me to seek wisdom, and I got it, you know, and I'm learning. And if this is going to help change my life, I'm willing to do it. And so, man, I think that was just the most impactful thing for me with my father. Is like, he was present, he was there, and he just showed me like, dude, man, in all of your years, always just go for wisdom. Always go for the things that's going to help you win. And that's what I did, bro. That's what I'm continuing to do to this day. Yeah.
What would you feel like is the strongest lesson you learned from your father about and even as you at some point have a child?
Yeah.
What do you feel like you want to take with you?
Yeah. So the strongest, most impactful lesson that I learned from my father is to be present, is to be there, is to not compromise, not being in your kid's life, not compromise, you know, just the little moments, just the small stuff, right? You know, my dad, you see, it's real, right? Because it's like I get emotional about talking about it till this day, right? So it's like, yeah, man, my dad he just taught me, man, just be there. Be present. Raise your kid. Do what you got to do. Do what you have to do. He couldn't get me in sports as early as possible. He couldn't get me in sports when he wanted to. But if he could get some money up, I'm at a football camp. You know what I mean? If he could get some money up, I'm finally in the league, you know? So it was like, but at the end of the day, I don't care about this stuff. I'm 26 years old, and I'm crying about my dad just being there, right? It's not about him being able to buy me the latest and greatest. I can do that now, you know what I mean? But it's like, now that I'm an adult and I'm established in life, I appreciate him being a man and stepping up to the plate, you know? And so that's the strongest lesson, bro. Show up, be there, you know? But yeah.
Woo. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you got me.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, man, you got me. All right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're looking to do.
Right.
We're looking to
Drink.
show young men that, yo, there are dudes out here who want to show up for you.
Right.
We're looking to show young men in our lives and even in each other's lives, like, dude, like, yeah, we're gonna show up for our children.
Right.
We're gonna show up for those who look up to us and see us as big bros and dads and we're gonna show up. And I think that's been our thing.
Right.
That's been the thing that we've like when we teach youth leaders how to mentors, how to mentor, and we've done all this.
Yeah.
One of our core values is show up.
Show up.
Our core value, show up.
Show up.
Dude, I think that's powerful, and I think that's what made mentoring you so easy. That's what made even our friendship now so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, we show up for each other.
For
You're
sure.
here showing up for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to show up for you.
Absolutely.
And, dude, I thank you for coming by.
Of course, bro.
We're at time, man.
Of course, bro.
Like, this was an incredible conversation. Thank you for coming, bro. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're probably gonna have to have Josh back.
Oh yeah,
and we might have the whole friend group back
Hey,
because
man,
that'd be
why not?
good.
Hey, we need to toast to that.
Toast to
man.
that.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
toast
sir.
to that.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Brody. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you for stopping by the Speakeasy. Listen, like, subscribe, all the things. Become a member of the Speakeasy today. We love you. Thank you for showing up.